drowned in one of the waterfalls that we were near. We were going to camp there, but decided not to because it was right next to the water, and although that sounded great, I just couldn't get a campground in there. Then, once we get home, a day later, we found out the place we were at, a man called for help while sawing off his own leg. And I'm trying to figure out the details of that, but there's not really much, and I don't know if they really want to release much, but there's just a firm bet that some substances were involved in that. So that's weird. So I'm going to keep trying to look for weirder stuff to talk about. And I want to keep things politically interesting, but not combative. You know, I want to create a ground where people can respectfully talk about their decisions and hopefully grow from them. But I know asking for civilized conversations on the internet is like asking for a peace treaty between two warring nations for the last, 200 years. So I doubt that's really going to happen. I also hope the audio is pretty well, considering my essentially straight pipe. Ooh, let me slow down because this looks like it's going to turn into a dirt road. This is turning into a dirt road. Oh, this is going to turn into a dirt road. This is the worst. I want to go home. I need a better adult for this road. And I really wish this guy would back off. This is not fun for me. Neither are your ridiculously bright HIDs or whatever's in there now, LEDs. Which, by the way, can there please be a regulation on headlights? Because she is getting really, really bright, man. Like, I'm able to see my future in some of those things, man. They're so bright. Oh, that guy turned, thank God. I don't know where this is. I have no idea where I'm at, but I feel like this road is gonna get super duper janky here. Oh. Because many roads here end up getting very janky. Yeah, there's tons of puddles. What the fuck was that about? Am I near water or something? What does this say? Do not enter? Alright, now begins the winter of my discontent, I guess. Oh, God. I have to back up over all those puddles. Get my feet wet again. Awesome. Yeah. I have no idea where I'm at. I'm going to look this up on the map and see if I can avoid this at all costs. Should also mention that the reason it's taking me so long to turn around is because I am ridiculously short. Agonizingly so. Agonizingly so. On a good day, probably 5'8", which you guys are like, hey, I'm probably about that height. That's not that short. Well, keep in mind my legs are like 29 inches long. I am mainly torso, which sucks because the seat height on my motorcycle is 32-ish inches. So you guys can already imagine the amount of tiptoeing I'm doing right now. I've been meaning to get lowering links on it. I have the lowering links, I have the lower kickstand, I have all of that. Just trying to get to it, I guess, is the final thing, which I know seems like the easiest part. Oh, just get out there and do it, but I don't really have the setup for it. One of my friends do, and I bother him enough as it is to keep this thing running. It's not even an old bike. I just run the snot out of it. Just trying to get the setup, you know? and then hoping everything goes to plan, because I can't tell you how many times I'll go to do something and it's like, oh hey, there's these 4 other issues you now have to address. And I'm sure that's the issue with everybody. Like, it's never just easy 1-2 peasy, right? But when your employment status is as vacant as mine is right now, which I should probably mention, I technically quit my job a couple of weeks ago. Well, not technically, I did. It was a bit of a doozy how my former place of employment did me. You know, there's a few people there that did much worse, but I just couldn't. I tried to make it work for weeks after forcing me to be demoted from my position, as they hired another guy to do my position who clearly was not up to snuff in the capacity that I was. And somehow they thought it was okay, but I dealt with him. I showed him respect. I did everything he ever asked me to do. I came in, and even though I was miserable, I still did what I was going to do to the best of my ability. And then it was actually kind of relaxing in that aspect, because I was demoted, I didn't have nearly as many inputs as I used to, you know, with certain machines having to be down, trying to work on those, trying to effectively cycle through all these other skills sets of people, and trying to maintain shipments and all that stuff. So it was nice to be demoted, I guess, for like a quick little vacation. But with that came a quite hefty wage cut that, once again, wasn't terrible, especially given the circumstances of the way people are going through now. It's better to have a job than not have a job. But after a few weeks of just trying to make it work, and every single week just the company getting worse, the pain in my chest getting worse, because I had to swallow so much dignity and so much pride to just walk in that building every day and then put on a fake smile while everyone else just seemed okay with everything, and like, oh well, look at him, he's such a good worker. Meanwhile, I'm like, inside I secretly hate everything about that place, because I understand that companies have to make tough decisions in times of trials like COVID-19 with 3 months of being shut down. I understand that companies have to downsize, that companies have to do certain things. What I am disappointed in is that when states shut down, they didn't foresee this, and they didn't try to put in some legislature to help save people's jobs or homes. So I'm disappointed in the leadership of my particular state in that aspect. But I understand it, and tough calls had to be made, and I respect those calls. And if I was really doing poorly at my performance in that position, I would have understood. But the kicker is I never had a performance review. I only got word of mouth things from my bosses, from peers, from people who worked with my bosses, saying nothing but good things about me. And then for this to come out of nowhere and then be like, well, we just didn't think you were good enough for the job, which I kind of like raise an eyebrow to. It's like, you don't think I'm good enough for the job, but you hire this guy that completely melts down anytime something bad happens. Like, I don't really know how you feel that's a better lateral move than just asking me to take a pay cut for now until things bloom back up in like a year or two. Because that's the thing, I was completely devoted to that company. I had a string of other things I'll get into later, but basically I had just decided the company was strictly it for me. That's where I was going to be spending my time. And let's see if I can try to make my way back. So to inevitably get, I guess for lack of a better term, betrayed by them for my devotion was, I'm reeling, to say the least. try to maintain my way out of here, as this person has got their brights on and is right up behind me. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure this thing out. I've actually been trying to think about how to do this particular inaugural motovlog for weeks now. I've been like dreading it a little bit, worrying about how it's gonna look, because you know, as you continue to do something, you grow, and then you're worried that you might end up being terrible and tacky, especially right now, as I keep mentioning, because I'm sure a lot of people are getting into vlogging and things like that because they've got all this free time. I've been dreading it. I've been trying to figure out things to talk about, and I just decided, you know, it's like ripping off a band-aid. Just do it. Just plug it in and do it. Hopefully my editing skills will get better as I go, because right now I am currently running the Insta360 1R with the 360 mod, so I'll probably do a little whirly gig right here. And I'm hoping that with time my editing will get better, it'll get funnier, it'll get more interesting.